Reading from 2 Chronicles chapter 15 verses 1 to 10. The Spirit of God came upon Azariah the son of Obed, and he went out to meet Asa and said to him, "Hear me, Asa, and all Judah and Benjamin. The Lord is with you while you are with him. If you seek him, he will be found by you, but if you forsake him, he will forsake you. For a long time Israel was without the true God, and without a true priest, and without law. But when in their distress they turned to the Lord, the God of Israel, and sought him, he was found by them. In those times there was no peace to him who went out or to him who came in, for great disturbances afflicted all the inhabitants of the lands. They were broken in pieces. Nation was crushed by nation, and city by city. For God troubled them with every sort of distress. But you, take courage, do not let your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded." As soon as Asa heard these words, the prophecy of Azariah the son of Obed, he took courage and put away the detestable idols from all the land of Judah and Benjamin, and from the cities that he had taken in the hill country of Ephraim. And he repaired the altar of the Lord that was in front of the vestibule of the house of the Lord. And he gathered all Judah and Benjamin, and those from Ephraim, Manasseh, and Simeon, who were residing with them. For great numbers had deserted to him from Israel when they saw that the Lord his God was with him. They were gathered at Jerusalem in the 3rd month of the 15th year of the reign of Asa. The nearness of God's presence is a truth that brings great comfort. But this comfort is experienced by those who walk with God. When a young child walks close to his father, holding his hand, he feels protected and safe, no matter how dark or frightening his surroundings are. But he feels distracted by something along the path and wanders away, letting go of his father's hand. He feels lost and afraid. His father is still keeping his eye on him. He has not left his child, yet the boy's turning away from him makes all the difference to the child's feelings. In the same way, God's presence is always near, but we experience his comfort only when we remain close to him through obedience and faith. Asa, the king of Judah, began his reign with a heart loyal to God. He was set on removing everything that displeased the Lord. With great zeal, he demolished idols, eager to break the power of idolatry. When faced with a mighty enemy force, he cried out in humble and single-hearted dependence to God alone. God gave him a crushing victory. Then it was that God sent his spirit upon Azariah, the son of Obed, to deliver a crucial message to Asa and all of Judah. The Lord is with you while you are with him. If you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you. This holds the secret of faith. God's presence and help were readily available to Asa, but Asa needed to continue to seek the Lord wholeheartedly. Throughout Scripture, we read of many individuals about whom it is written, "The Lord was with him." This was true of Ishmael, Joseph, Joshua, Gideon, David, Solomon, Asa, Jehoshaphat, and Hezekiah. Yet, not all of them experienced lasting success. Some, like Solomon and Ishmael, began well but faltered along the way. God was with them, but many of them did not determine to remain with God. This is the essence of Azariah's message. The comfort and security of God's nearness is not automatic. It requires our continual seeking and faithfulness. Many believers find great comfort in promises of God's presence, such as Hebrews 13:5, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." As God's people, God's presence is assured to us. This assurance results from our trust in God's promise. The first part of the same verse states, "Keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. Having God with us, according to His unshakable promise, we can and should live carefree without worry or discontent. Believing God's promise, we do not seek security in wealth. Rather, we are satisfied with God's provision, and His presence is our constant and real security. Those who run after wealth and prosperity betray their lack of trust in God's presence with them, and therefore, without faith, they cannot expect to enjoy His nearness. Assyria reminded Asa of Israel's history. In the long centuries before Israel became a kingdom, the nation experienced repeated unrest and turmoil and defeat. But when Asa, turning away from the sins of his fathers, abolished idol worship and restored the true worship of God, the prophet was sent with a word of encouragement to him, saying, "Take courage, do not let your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded." Asa's response was immediate and shows the depth of his loyalty to God. Strengthened by this word, he went on as he had begun. He cleansed Judah and Benjamin of the detestable idols, repaired the altar of the Lord, and led the people as they renewed their covenant to seek God with all their hearts. This was not mere external reform, but a deep commitment. The people swore their oath with joy, and as they sought the Lord, He was found by them, granting them peace and rest. Asa's faith is marked by his decision to remove the queen mother, Maacah, from her position because of her idolatry. He also destroyed the idol grove or Asherah that she had made. This act underlined his commitment to God, which outweighed even family loyalty. His actions echoed the zeal of the Levites in Exodus 32, who stood against idolatry despite the personal cost. Moses praised them in Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 9, who said of his father and mother, "I regard them not." He disowned his brothers and ignored his children, for they observed your word and kept your covenant. The Lord emphasized this principle in Luke 14:26. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, and wife and children, and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Asa's unwavering stand for God, even against his own mother, exemplifies the single-minded loyalty that we are called to have. Under Asa's leadership, the nation came back to God. His obedience, courage, and example inspired the people to renew their faith. They served God not out of mere obligation, but with joy, rejoicing in their return to God. True spiritual leadership does not merely enforce rules, it inspires by its own loyalty to God. Asa led with a firm hand, guiding his nation in God's ways with faith and without regard to political considerations. He openly and completely committed his safety, his throne, and his very life to God. The only thing he counted important was to walk with God. His wholehearted loyalty to God won the obedient response of his people. His example challenges us to consider, do we inspire those around us to seek God with all their hearts? The principle for us remains the same. The Lord is with His people, but we will not experience His presence and help unless we abide with Him. If we actively seek Him in wholehearted obedience, we will find Him. If we forsake Him, we forfeit the assurance of His presence. We must remove every idol in our lives. We must forsake the things that distract us from fully following God. We must prioritize our relationship with Him above all else, even above personal or family ties and traditions. Asa's example challenges us to be decisive in walking only in God's ways. Like Asa's people, let us take heart from Him and renew our commitment to obey Him in faith. When we seek God with all our hearts, He will be found by us, and He will give us the peace and rest of His presence, His plan, and His protection. God bless.